Hey y'all, and welcome to Culture Cult, where we are one podcast with 197 countries to explore stories and history from. I'm your host, Marie, and this week we are doing travel stories. So that's when you send in your best travel stories to be read aloud, and we hear from guests on their favorite travel stories also. So send in your favorite travel stories to our email, culturecultshow@gmail.com. And remember to comment, rate, and subscribe to the show. Cheers and enjoy. Hey y'all, and welcome back to Culture Cult. Today is a travel story episode. This is where a guest and I will tell our favorite travel stories, and then we will read out one of y'all's that you've written in. So today we have a super special guest. He's an avid traveler. He has his own successful podcast called Winging It. It's James Hammond. Welcome onto the podcast.
Yo. How you doing?
I'm good. So you're my first official guest and first official podcaster on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, pressure's on. My story better be good.
Yeah. So before we get into the travel stories, I want to get everyone situated with who you are and everything. And I know I've just started podcasting technically 2 months, but you've been doing it for a while. Can you tell us about your show, Winging It? And how did you get started with that?
Yeah, Winging It is a result of lockdown. So I'll be honest here. I was in a pretty low place midway through lockdown because we love travel, right? We can't travel. I was like, shit, this is not going to end for a while. So I thought, well, let's just do a podcast and just trying to connect with people that I've met on the road before.
Yeah.
Traveling. So I thought, right, I'll start a podcast. I have no idea what I'm doing, hence the title Winging It. And yeah, it's kind of been going, 14 months. And
wow.
Yeah, I just do it because I like it. I love speaking to people like you, hearing your story, what you got to say, where you've been. Everyone's got something different to say.
Exactly.
And yeah, I thought I'd just release it every Monday and try and have a diverse range of guests. So yeah, try and cover an array of travelers, whether it's like people who love their jobs but just go on vacation, or it's people who travel full time, the dream. And there's also people who are maybe planning a trip, or people I've met on some of the trips before and they've been away for a year. So yeah, that's kind of diverse range, really.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with that. For me, we both aren't traveling right now. It's for you. It's for connecting with that community again, and just learning. I wanted to keep my brain active and still learn about people, which is I think what we both love about traveling is all the connections you make.
Yeah,
so,
and the different countries that you learn about. That's great as well.
Yeah.
Like areas that may be on your list but you don't know too much about.
Yeah,
that's the real big thing that I've learned, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, what is a country that is your absolute must? You would be so disappointed if you didn't get to go to this country that you haven't gone to yet. What's a must for you?
That is Bhutan. So the level that I reached with Bhutan, I was like, right, I need to find people who either run a tour company or have been to Bhutan. So I contacted Druk Asia, who are based in Singapore. And they're kind of the Royal Bhutan Airlines #1 official partner. Because Bhutan, you need a tour guide. You can't just turn up.
Wait, really? How did you learn that? I would have just turned up.
They have a policy called... I'd love to send that on YouTube. I honestly... after 2 minutes.
What?
No,
that would happen to me.
You can't turn up. Yeah, you can't turn up. You just have to go for an agency, and that's just part of their tourism policy, where it's low volume, high cost. So you pay a daily fee, $250. That pays for everything, apart from your flight in and out. And they can take anything you want in Bhutan. So I asked them, hey, can I just do maybe a podcast episode with 2 locals? Yep, we'll organise that for you. So anyway, got these guys on, talked about Bhutan for about an hour and a half, and I think Joni, who's the managing director of Druk Asia, he's been there 30 times to Bhutan. Wow.
What attracts you to it? Is it maybe the food, the people, or the colors? Why are you so drawn to Bhutan?
Yeah, exclusive. It's the last almost frontier of Southeast Asia. Because you can't just turn up. It's not over tourism, right? I think 60% of the country has to be under conservation. So they've got 2,000 rooms in the country per night.
Wow.
That's not a lot. So you're going to get a real authentic experience there, and I think, I just need to go.
Yeah.
And me and my friend kind of jokingly, and when the first episode, he was my first guest last year, and we talked about 15 minutes about Bhutan and some facts about them. So since then, that's kind of been in my mind. Yeah, that's kind of the #1. And I think people should just have a little look into it. It's quite an interesting country. But they measure the happiness of their population. It's called the Gross National Happiness Index. It's the only country in the world that does this. So they ask their people, how happy are you? I don't know, whether it's food or social status or job, whatever it is.
Wow.
And they try and measure the people's happiness. It's pretty interesting.
If there's a spectrum, Bhutan's on one and the United States is on the other.
Very, very different.
The United States is like, how much money do you have?
Exactly that. Yeah. US is
money is happiness.
Money, right? Yeah.
But that's beautiful. So Bhutan's like your number one. But again, we're not traveling right now. Yeah. So what do you miss about traveling the most, or even miss about yourself when you travel?
Yes, you made a point about money, right? Yeah. In happiness. So the job I have at the minute pays pretty well. I won't deny that, but it really is not everything. Essentially, I'm bored. I think that's the crux of it.
Comfort kills happiness. You know that quote, like comfort is the killer of a lot of things.
I've got everything I want. I've got laptop, phone, TV, sports channels.
You got everything.
Everything, and still not enough. So for me, it's traveling is my thing. It's my kind of jet. I need to get out there.
I think some of the times I've been most happy is like when I've been camping. I've just been like on the road. I sleep in my car. I'm eating tuna out of the can. Like, I don't have technically my needs met in that way, but I'm like waking up to the sun every day and just like exploring. That's to me, that's my kind of happiness. For someone else, it may be a Porsche, but I totally think the needs that we need is that passion and just that excitement and all the money in the world, all the TV channels, whatever. Like,
doesn't mean anything.
No.
Here's some facts for you, right? 87% of people don't like their job. Whether that's they either hate it or they're just kind of cruising, just doing it for the money. But something that you do 7 to 8 hours a day, my word, like that is, I don't think that's good long term. So for me, I'm definitely in that category. So I need to find something that I do like, and that is travel. So I'm actively trying to get into how can I make a living. It'd be nowhere near as probably what I'm on now, but enough for me to still be like happy and in the same industry and something I'm interested in. So that's kind of the journey I'm on at the minute.
I'm the same boat. And like, this gets to everyone. This isn't even just a conversation between me and you. We dedicate so much of our time throughout the day working for someone, most likely.
Yeah.
And then you get home and then you could spend maybe a couple hours on whatever that passion is. Maybe for someone, it's like cooking a meal at home or spending time with their children or guitar or being a runner. I don't know what it is. But like as a traveler, my hobby can't be done at home, or I have to rearrange my life every time I travel. I've slept on so many couches, let go of my apartment, let go of my car. I sold my car to go to Scotland. It's just like I had to change my whole life to travel. And like that's like definitely a goal between me and you. We want to be able to sustain our passion. And like also when we're not traveling, get to still do that passion, which is what we're doing right now, which is having the podcast. Yeah. You know?
I think it's maxed out a credit card in Australia and not paid it back to go traveling.
Okay, I want to do that this year. So that makes me feel better. It makes me feel a lot better. Dive into that. Like,
I was in Australia on a work visa and I was in there for a year. I was in this office job, boring office job. And my bank asked me, do you want a credit card? And I was like, well, I actually said no because I'm leaving soon. 6 months, I've got to go.
Yeah.
I just won't need it because I won't be coming back, maybe. And they're like, no. You seem to be doing well in your job, like wage-wise. Let's see what we could offer you. And they come back and said, oh, by the way, that we think we could probably offer you $10,000 Australian dollars. I was like, yeah, I'll take that. So then I used it properly when I was in Australia. And when I went traveling to South America afterwards.
Oh my God, yes.
I was like, I got $10,000 to $11,000 on this credit card and I'm going to blow the fucking lot. And I did. And I didn't pay anything back. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Free money, free trip.
Yes, free money. They're like, is this guy going to pay us back? You're like, please.
Yeah.
Like, is he in South America?
Why is he withdrawing cash in La Paz and Bolivia? Sorry. Yeah.
They're like, God damn it, this happened again. But there's just different ways to travel. And like, we'll eventually honestly get to that point where we won't have to max out $10,000 or sleep on a couch for me. So I wanted to just dive in real quick with like podcast and like our travel goals and stuff. But I wanted to state the obvious. You have an accent. So like,
do I? Oh, okay.
Do I? Yeah. So where are you from? Like, where's this accent from?
This is from a city called Norwich in England.
Norwich. So British. Norwich.
All Americans say Norwich.
Norwich. Yeah.
It's Norwich. Can you say Norwich?
Norwich.
Yeah, you go. That's
okay,
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did it with the accent. Yeah. So what part of England is that in?
East
England. Okay.
East side. Yeah. It's the most easterly city in UK.
Okay. Yeah. What is something about the UK people maybe don't realize? And like, I'm from Alabama, so everyone thinks we just listen to country music. When I travel, people ask if we have shoes on. And you know what? I don't like to wear shoes, so that one's not wrong. But we have a lot of amazing jam bands and rock and roll bands that come out of Alabama, and people don't realize that. So like, what's something about the UK that people have stereotypes about, but maybe they don't realize?
I think a lot of people, accent-wise, think that maybe people speak a bit like me. but it's half of. It's basically north-south divide. Once you go past Birmingham up to north, they all speak different accents. Whereas the south kind of would be your generic accent that you hear on the TV, which is
British,
a bit, the classic British accent, which is not great because it doesn't really showcase the northern parts of the Isles, right?
Yeah.
So Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, all got different accents.
Yeah.
But you might not know what the differences are or even heard of them.
Yeah, because your accent's very unique to me. I've never really heard it. Kind of almost sounds Australian in a way. It's very like relaxed.
I get told that all the time. But I think it's because I was in Australia for a year.
Okay.
Even in the UK, I went back to my home city, my hometown. I went just to buy some clothes or something.
Yeah.
And the guy, I think he was from London actually, the cashier.
Yeah.
He's like, are you from Australia? I'm like, no, mate, I'm from here. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, you sound Australian. I was like, I did live there. He goes, yeah, you got an Australian twang. I'm like,
yeah, it's like very relaxed. It's a very relaxed tone. I couldn't figure it out when I met you. Yeah. So you're in Canada now. Have you kind of lost your accent, you think, a little bit being in Canada?
Great question. I don't think I have.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm a bit cheeky with it. Especially if I'm in the US, I really put it on like the proper like British accent because I know that Americans love that sort of shit.
We love it.
Yeah.
Like we freak out.
So, yeah. So I do.
That's actually hilarious. At work when I'm talking, like I talk to a lot of salespeople, and like, if I want to get something out of someone, and I turn my Southern accent, it freaking works. So like I think it is a power in a way to like.
It can get you a lot of things. That's for sure.
It really can.
Yeah.
I feel like accents are a power and everything, but like, so you're in Canada now. Like, is it surprisingly similar, or was there some culture shock?
No, it's not. It's not a culture shock.
Okay.
Very, very easy to live here in Vancouver. I think. Yeah. Being part of British Columbia, British in the name, makes it even more like home.
Yeah.
And the access to the West Coast here is brilliant.
Yeah. You have incredible nature. I mean, you're in Vancouver. So like,
of course.
Nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to like start the episode by just talking about where you're from, talk about the accent and talk about your podcast and stuff. But it's a travel story episode. So again, this is where I or my guests will tell their favorite travel story and they'll end on a fan travel story. So you've really been everywhere. So I know this might have been a bit hard to couple stories, but if you want to go ahead and like tell one of your stories that you have from your travels.
The classic one I tell quite a bit, which I probably should diversify and start telling some more different stories. But it's quite a good one. If
it's a good one, it's a good one.
It is a good one. I was in Laos, which is in Southeast Asia, if you don't know, and it's like going across the land border to Thailand, and it's a river. I guess it's the Mekong. Could be wrong there. And what you do is turn to the border, land border, but all the buses stop there. You'll get off. You get your stamp. You get your exit stamp, and I guess you get checked.
Yeah.
And go on the boat across the river to Thailand, get your stamps and go in. It should be that simple.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, I turned up. Like, I am none the wiser here. I'm just like, bobbing along, like, got headphones on, and I'm just gonna hop across to Thailand with a group of friends.
Casually, yes.
Casually, yeah. And I'm wearing an England football shirt at this point as well, so that's not the best attire to wear because I stand out. But anyway, I get to the window.
You're screaming tourist.
Yeah, I'm screaming English football fan tourist. It's even worse. And I get to the border window.
Yeah.
And he takes a passport, nothing of it, and he starts flicking through quickly. I'm like, what's he looking for? And he starts flicking through.
God,
I'm like, okay. And then he asked me something in Laotian, the local language. No idea what he said. And then he kept saying stamp. I was like, what do you mean stamp? And he started really getting angry and shouting at me.
Shit.
I was like, wow, this guy's kicking off. And I instead of like trying to engage, I quickly grabbed my passport and ran. So I grabbed my passport.
Wait, which direction? Like back
towards the border.
Bitch! What?
Yeah. I thought, this guy didn't know what he's talking about. So anyway, I took my passport, I jogged, I sort of walked briskly and jogged towards the border.
Walk briskly. Okay.
I wasn't like legging it, but like trying to like mix in with the crowd. I saw my group of friends. We got on the boat and got on the boat successfully. Got across to Thailand. Got to the window at Thailand. Now, Thailand Border Patrol is a bit more legitimate, a bit more authentic. Okay. They're proper, like uniformed and I think a bit more trained, should we say? Anyway, got to the window and he starts flicking through really quickly, and then he went, "Oh, you have no stamp. You have no stamp into Laos." I was like, "What do you mean?" I still was confused at this point.
Oh my God.
Like, you got your visa? I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "But you did not get a stamp into Laos." And I was quickly thinking, what the fuck happened at the border at the other end from Vietnam?
Oh, the first time you went in.
Yeah, into Laos from Vietnam. I couldn't really recall what happened. So then He's like, you can't come in. You have to get a stamp in and out of the country.
Oh my God.
For fuck's sake. I told this guy to pretty much fuck off at the border.
This is so embarrassing.
Like at the Lao border. Yeah.
And not to mention you ran after.
Yeah, sort of briskly ran, yeah. And anyway, so my friends all got in fine and they said, oh, we'll wait for you. And they just gave me like a load of money. So you might need this. Got on the boat, back across to Lao, across the river. And these 4 military guys. One was like in a military uniform. One, I think 3 were border people, but one was like a proper army captain.
I'm so stressed.
And as soon as I got off the boat in my England shirt, they just pointed me out. I was like,
that fucker.
Yeah, that fucker. And I just accepted defeat. I was like, right, I'm going to have to go with these guys. God. And they just kind of marched me through to like these back offices somewhere. And I was actually getting a bit scared at this point because I was on my own. And these 4 guys looked pretty menacing. Yeah. And I just told one of their mates to fuck off earlier. So I walked in. They're watching snooker on the TV. I popped in. I found that quite funny initially. And they said, sit there. So right, I sat there. And they asked, do I speak Laotian? I was like, no. If you asked your friends earlier, I definitely don't speak Laotian. Like, okay, we'll try English. It's like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And basically, they just said to me the same as the Thai guy, like, you haven't got an entry stamp into Laos. So what happened there?
You might look sketchy to them right now, actually.
Yeah, because they're like, why didn't you get a stamp? I honestly couldn't answer them. I was like, I don't know. I must have just missed the sign or missed the next step, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, there's no like, I wasn't trying to be funny here. It's just a genuine mistake. And they said, well, you need a stamp to enter the country and exit. I was like, yeah, I agree.
I'd like that.
Like, yeah, I like that. And they're like, yeah, but it's going to cost you money. Like, here we go. So we start negotiations, right?
Oh my God.
So straight off the bat, they're like, $100. I'm like, no way. No way. I'll give you 20. And they're just laughing at me. And we sat like this, like pen in hand, like writing figures down.
Wow.
And this went for about 30 minutes. And then I was starting to think, I don't think they're going to give in.
Wow.
And I need to go to Chiang Mai in Thailand. I need to go. And my friends are waiting for me. And there's a bus waiting for me at the other side.
Wow.
And I was like, right, what do I do here? So then it kind of went on for like half an hour. And then they said, well, we accept Thai baht and US dollars, either or. I was like, right, I got both. So we agreed $60 was agreed for US dollars after tense negotiations. And then he offered me that in Thai baht. And then I'd done some maths in my head. I was like, but in Thai baht, that's the figure he gave me is actually about $52 US. So I'll do Thai baht because I got $8 off. And that's like a day in Asia, right? And then literally, as soon as he went Thai baht this amount, I went, all right, here you go. As soon as you got the money, bam, bam, stamp, gone. See you later.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, honestly, I was out there.
You're a badass for like sitting there and negotiating with them. I would have been like a sucker and be like, just don't put me into jail. Like the fact that you were like, no, I'm not doing that. Like you're at their mercy and you're like, there's whatever you just offered is not happening. Like
exactly.
How do you negotiate? I don't know how to negotiate. I think that's a skill I don't know how to do.
It's like bartering at a market in Asia, right? You know, when you go to buy a t-shirt and they say, oh, this is $10 and you go, no, it's not. It's $2.
I'm a sucker.
And then they go 8 and you go 4 and you sort of get into the middle and then you walk away and like, oh, no, come back. We'll give you $5. Okay, $5. It's like that.
I know. I'm such a sucker. Even in Asia, I didn't. They were like $15. I was like, absolutely. I was like, thank you so much. Like, I know, because I'm for them. I'm like, they probably need that money. But over here, you're like, no, I know that's $2.
Yeah.
But look at the skills you have. You got out of that situation.
Like, I did. With 5 minutes to spare, because as soon as I got over the river again, back on the boat across the river, the same Thai guy on the
oh my God,
border,
did you make awkward eye contact? Were you like,
he was like, oh, what? Oh, this doesn't look correct. I'm like, no, mate, I'll just spend $60 on that. That is legit. And he's like, oh, okay, and sort of like to sign me in. And then I ran this time to the bus.
Yeah,
just about to leave. Yeah, just got there in time.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Honestly, my friends were like, oh, if you weren't coming back, we're just going to go to Chiang Mai. I was like, oh, cheers, appreciate that. I've been there on my own.
And now he lives in Laos.
Yeah.
Where's James? Yeah, he's a Laotian family now. He has a whole life there.
Lives on the border. Dreams every day that he could have got over.
That's like insane. I get really, really, really nervous about border control. That's a wild story. I'm so glad you made it to Thailand and that your friends didn't ditch you. Like, yeah. Do you have one more story you want to tell before we go into the fan story?
There's actually another one in Laos But
so much happened there.
Yeah. We can do another Lao story that I've got.
Go ahead.
So in the Luang Prabang, which is like it's on the Mekong Delta, so it's quite a nice place.
Yeah.
Very backpackery, trippy sort of place where people hang out and like, oh yeah, I'm yogaing today. Like, fuck off. Anyway, this place has a curfew. Yeah, piss off. This place has a curfew, which is at, I think, midnight.
Okay.
And we arrived to this town. Our bus was late because it broke down. It took 38 hours or something ridiculous from Vietnam. And that was actually the same bus journey I didn't get my stamp. So that's like before the border issue. God. Got to Luang Prabang and we're like, shit, like this place is closed and it's a curfew, right? And we've got nowhere booked. Yeah, we've got nowhere booked. Like, bloody hell. So we on the bus realised what's happened. And you sort of like look at each other and go, well, I'm going to go in this little group. And you all start running in different directions. We were going to try and find accommodation. And we ran through town and this is nowhere open. And we're like, shit, we're going to have to sleep in the park. And then this little guy like peeked around the corner of his like hotel. He's like, come in.
Oh my God, I love it.
He goes, look, I'm not open officially, but I've got one room. It's $50. Fits 4 people. Do you want it? We're like, yeah.
Yes.
And do you have any food? He's like, no.
He's like, are you serious right now?
Yeah. He said, I've got some bread in the fridge. I'm like, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, so he took us in, which was really nice of him. Anyway, that wasn't actually the main part of the story. That was the start of Luang Prabang. Anyway, if you want a night out in Luang Prabang, there's one place you can go to.
Okay.
And it's government run. And it's open till 3 a.m, but it's the only place. And it's a place to have a party, and it's a bowling alley.
Oh, love it.
You know, like you have in the US, like just a bowling alley. You turn up, you do bowling, right? So this place,
random.
It's random. It's a bowling alley, but you can get fucked up. Like there's like bar there. There's like people on all sorts of shit. You get your booze on the go, and it's this really weird thing that every backpacker in town's in this place because they've got nowhere else to go after 12. And they're all partying away. And what happens is when at 3, when it closes, the taxi drivers are supposed to take you to your hotel and then they go home because it's kind of curfew, right?
Yeah.
So we're just like getting fucked up, like partying central. And then people started wandering off outside, going down to the river, going swimming. I'm like,
that's so fun.
Shouldn't be doing that. There's a curfew. You should not be doing that. And people getting lost. Like this guy's on speed or something and he's like, we don't know where he is. Is he drowning? Like everyone's running around. And
this is so Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Absolute chaos. Like one night out and cracking night out, like seriously good, like good fun stories, and you can dance in the bowling alley and stuff like that. And I think we did go bowling. Can't remember that bit. Yeah. That's a cool little place in the Luang Prabang.
Okay, I'm gonna definitely put that on my lentil to-do list because that's like totally my kind of place. Like backpacker, random part of town. I love a good story where you just end up somewhere so random.
Yes.
I promise you, when you woke up that day, you didn't think you'd be partying in a bowling alley at 3 a.m. I promise.
Winging it. Absolutely
winging it. You're winging it.
It's quite funny next morning because Luang Prabang is right in the middle of Laos.
Yeah.
And it's right by the river and it's really hot. And a lot of people go to this cafe called Utopia Cafe. Mm-hmm. Again, it's like a backpacker. It's a real awesome cafe. It's like one of the best ones, I think, in Southeast Asia, where it looks over Mekong Delta. They've got like little beds by wooden tables. You have a drink.
Wow.
You just chill out. People chatting around. It's like, they do pizza and stuff like that. So we all met there next day and just talking about the night before.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, to like listeners, like Southeast Asia is a party place. I think Vietnam is a great place to have a good time, but it not be over touristy. Was Laos over touristy, you think, or was it a good pace?
No, it's actually missed sometimes by people in Southeast Asia. They sort of look over it.
Yeah.
It's actually known for its tubing. I don't know if you know this, but
see, I love that. I want to do
that. Back in the days, it's now changed for a number of reasons, but back in the day when I went in 2013, you could go down the river and they throw these like rubber dinghies in and they catch you, like basically stop you from going down the river because of the current, right? They drag you in. You have a few shots, have a few drinks at this bar. And it's like bar hopping on a river.
Oh,
but there's one caveat here. There's one caveat.
Okay.
You need to get to the last bar because if you carry on down the water, you're going to go off the waterfall. And my friend who came on last year, Adam, my first guest, he done this. And I wouldn't do that because I'm not great in water. But he's like, I said, did you come close to death? And he's like, yeah. We literally clung on to this like, tree at the end before it kind of fell. I was like, my word.
And I bet you there's no warning. I'm sure there's like one dude on the edge.
There are warnings,
like, oh, there is a warning of that.
But the current is so strong. If you don't get caught by the people at the bars, like they throw the dinghies into the water, or you don't cling on to a bit of branch or tree.
Holy shit.
the problem is you're boozed up at this point. You're especially the last bar.
Yeah, and it's like you're in such a state of mind where you're not like thinking about, okay, when is the waterfall coming? Like, like when do I risk death versus like the last bar? Like, I don't know. You just don't think like that. And that is incredibly risky, especially since in Southeast Asia, people do so many drugs.
Yeah.
I can imagine someone on shrooms where like time isn't a thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, if you're in a mindset where time isn't a thing and you need to be on time at this in this activity.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I didn't know.
So it actually got cancelled for a while because too many people were dying. So that's a mix
people
of
have died doing that.
Yeah, people drowning, people
Jesus.
I guess didn't get caught in time, but there's a part of the river on the bar crawl where you can climb to a tree and do a swing. So you can swing on a swing and then jump into the water. But you need to be careful because there's rocks in the water.
Oh, hell no.
You need to bypass the rocks into the deeper part.
Wow.
And I think when people were boozed up, they kind of just jumped into the rock.
No,
maybe
my goodness.
Or whatever.
So dangerous.
So people were dying left, right, and centre. So the government kind of halted it. And I think even now it's not really recovered that well.
Wow.
I think it's just too dangerous.
Yeah, that is really dangerous. It's a perfect storm, honestly.
Yeah,
drugs, alcohol, tourism, where people are just there to have fun. They're not thinking about the land or like if there's a waterfall. Like,
yeah.
Wow, that's wild. I didn't know
that's
that.
in Vieng Vieng if you want to check it out. You listeners. Vieng Vieng.
Vieng Vieng. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of still would do the tubing thing. I just like
you can still do it. There's a few bars there.
Yeah.
It's just not as popular anymore. I think it's maybe more regulated. Maybe I'm not sure. I've not been back, but
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So honestly, so now we've learned a lot about get your freaking stamp in Laos. Don't outrun the fucking cops there. And then what else we learned? You can go bowling alley, 3 a.m. party in that town. What's it called? That town with the bowling alley?
The Luang Prabang. It's the biggest one. Yeah. It's like the capital of Vientiane. Yeah. And then the next second city probably would be Luang Prabang on the backpacker route.
Yeah. And then the tubing to your possible death in Vieng Vieng.
Yeah.
That is so fun. I love it. I mean, I can't wait to go back to Southeast Asia. Yeah, I highly recommend for listeners, if you haven't really gone to Asia, it's like, I think, a really good entry point.
I've done it twice. I've done it partying, I guess, when I was younger for 3 months. And I've been back since for 2 months, 3 months. And a bit older, not as fresh back in those days. And they've both got their merits. And
either way, it's
combined, it's great.
You don't even have to be a party. Like, I feel like it's a very spiritual place too. The temples are out of this world. I'm a sucker for like seeing churches and temples. I'm not even religious. I just love good architecture, you know? But yeah, thank you for telling those stories. Your stories are like hilarious to me. Like, you were telling me this one and your other, when we recorded on your podcast about like, you went on a desert bike ride and you didn't bring freaking water. Like,
to the Moon Valley in Chile.
I like it. You're like a bit of a risk taker. You're like, fuck the rules.
Did I tell you about the one very, very quickly before we can move on? Sorry. Ahead. Is in La Paz in Bolivia. There's an all-you-can snort cocaine bar. Did I say that?
Oh, wait.
Route 36.
My listeners would like this. I have go ahead about this cocaine town.
It's called Route 36. So imagine Route 66, but 36 instead.
Yeah.
And it's a bar that changes every 2 months in La Paz, and it's a lock-in bar behind a garage door.
Wow.
And all the taxi drivers know where it is. I guess they get updated, and the police turn a blind eye. And what you can do is you can turn up probably like quite late into the night, and it's like this really trendy, jazzy type chill bar.
Yeah.
Like speakeasy bar, and you get a nice drink. But the premise there is not to get boozed up. The premise is to buy a bag of coke off the guy who's walking around and get on the tables with your mates and to start lining it up and sniffing it up. And it's like weird setting where you go in and everyone's quite respectful. You know, when you're boozed up, people partying, probably shouting shit. This is like everyone just chilling out, sitting down. The guys that are in the bar got your bags of coke. You buy it for like really cheap, and you just grab it off them. And then there's no shame. Like, no one's hiding. You're just doing it in plain sight. Put it on the table, line it up with a credit card, or whatever, and away you go. And we're in there from like midnight till about 6 a.m. I
mean, that's an all-night bender right there. Yeah. It's just ironic that it's not like a club, that it's a chill jazz situation, but you're doing something like cocaine, where like, I would imagine a cocaine party would just be like so wild. But
it's not a wild place. It's weird. Yeah,
it's more like a cigar lounge. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's like a cigar lounge. I think people get boozed up. We got boozed up before.
Yeah.
We went and the hostel is like raucous, like partying. Went to a club as well, I think, even before. Yeah. And then we're like, nah, let's just go. And you sort of sober up a little bit, and then this takes over, right? You stop really drinking, and you start. I remember example, we all know what cocaine can do, but around 6:30 a.m. you start to nod off because you're tired. You just take a quick snort of the Coke, and you're back waking.
Boom, you're here. It's like the morning coffee. It's like
you get in at we got in at 10 a.m. and I thought I was a hero going back to the hostel dorm, but then there's some guys came back even later from that.
No, yeah. So what's it called? La Paz in Bolivia.
Yeah, La Paz is in Bolivia. It's the biggest city in Bolivia. It's an unofficial capital. And you just need what you need to do when you go. I wouldn't ask the hostel people who work there what it is, but just grab a taxi.
Okay.
And just say Route 36, and the taxi driver will be like, okay, yeah.
He's like, I knew you were that kind of person.
Yeah. So they kind of just saunter off to the place, and it changes location every 2 months. But
that is so interesting. I would never expect that. I just would never expect that. And I just definitely have certain listeners who would want to know where that would be. So that's why I was like, that was a personal recommendation. I have people in mind. But that's so cool.
I need to keep it under wraps.
You're gonna start there's not like cocaine tours are gonna start to happen. This guy James told us.
Closed because of James Hammond.
But check out his podcast. So that's how we start the episodes by telling your stories. I'll tell my stories. You told some really good ones. I honestly just learned a lot about things I did not even know I'd learn about. But so this travel story was written by a fan, and it doesn't involve cocaine, cigar lounges, or waterfall death tubing experiences, but it's still a really good story. So fan wrote this in. It starts, as a California native, I can count the times I've seen the snow on one hand. While in St. Louis, I see the minus 18-degree temperatures. Okay, I looked that up. It's 64 Fahrenheit. So I don't
do Fahrenheit.
Oh wait, do I do Fahrenheit?
Yeah, you do Fahrenheit. When you say minus 16 degrees, I know what that is.
Oh wait,
so
crap.
Crack on.
Okay, I'm gonna make an assumption. It's cold, okay? Well, this do
it's fucking cold, yeah.
I'll just say it's fucking cold outside temperature.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really bad at math. So it's fucking cold outside temperature as a welcome novelty, and he decided to go for a walk. 10 minutes in, I noticed my ears were frozen solid, and I remember reading somewhere in my old Boy Scout handbook that frostbite was a thing. Okay, I mean, honestly, I don't think you need to be a Boy Scout to realize, whatever 18 degrees is not walking around weather.
No, as I said before, I went to Yukon.
Yeah.
And it's double that.
Yeah.
And you can't, we saw the Northern Lights, right? So
beautiful.
The guy another story, I could tell you stories here. The guy who owned the Airbnb, he's a bit mental. He said, look, we'll wake you up if they're about.
Okay.
And I'll knock on the door, I'll text you. He's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. He knocks on the door. I didn't really hear him. My girlfriend Emma did. Texted. Emma's sort of I think the Northern Lights are about. I was like, right, okay. And then we hear these gunshots. I was like, what the fuck is that? Anyway.
He said, what the fuck is that? He's like, this wasn't part of it.
Yeah. Anyway, you can't just walk out casually in your pajamas, right? You've got to get all the layers on because it's that cold and frostbite is a thing. So we go out and he's like, oh yeah, just to wake you up, I just fired my rifle in the air. I was like,
what?
Fucking mental.
That is so America. I don't even know if it's America or Canada, but whatever part.
Country Canada, yeah.
Or just that's so country. It's just well, you weren't getting up, so I have to bring out the rifle. Honestly, that is hilarious. He's like, get up.
I was like, this might be bloody worth it. And he's like, he had a beer for me. I'm like, no, mate, I just literally broken up my sleep.
I love this guy.
And he's like, come on a snowmobile. You got to drive a snowmobile. I'm like, I've never driven one before. He's like, I'll teach you. I'm like, you are crazy. So I had to jump on a snowmobile, right?
7 a.m.
No, this is 1 a.m.
Oh.
This is really middle of the night. Oh, and I was like, oh, fuck. Emma's in the back. I'm probably going to crash. We're all going to die. Anyway, I drive out. He has a large bit of land. This frozen lake is out there. And I'll be honest, I was skeptical. I was like, yeah, I read about Northern Lights. I don't really believe it. Anyway, we drove out snowmobile.
Oh, really?
And fair play to him. He kind of dug out a route for us so you don't get stuck in the real big snow. And snow here, by the way, is up to your waist, that sort of level.
I've never even seen that before.
Yes, this might be alien to you.
Wow.
Anyway, we drove out in the snowmobile and his dogs came running along with us and all this. And his partner was there.
I bet he has the gun on his back.
Yeah.
All of this. I'm in love with this scene right now.
I got some photos on my Instagram of what I see. And we drive out to the lake and we park the snowmobiles up. He said, I'll just turn around. And they were all there. Northern Lights,
wow.
Green, flickering. I was like, Adam, fair play. I accept the gun. I accept the rifle. I accept the text. You've done well here. And we stood outside in that degrees. That was at minus 30.
Wow.
2 hours. It was that good.
Wow. Yeah, because at that point, it's just so beautiful. You're not even probably feeling what your body's feeling. It's just such a moment.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take photos because your fingers get frozen in about
it wouldn't even
10 seconds, right?
There's just certain things in life. There's no point of taking a photo.
I did take a photo. Yeah, it doesn't do it justice.
No, it doesn't. I don't even take sunset photos. I'm like, it's a moment. It's a feeling. Like,
yeah.
And agreed. I think that's something you have to experience, even if it's on the back of a Hicks snowmobile. Like, you have to go and see that. Because I've never seen the Northern Lights. Like, that's wild.
It's incredible views. So yeah, frostbite is a thing because I couldn't wait to get back to cabin again to warm up. But yeah, you can't just wing that sort of weather, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, like this guy. So I know this guy, and like he just walks everywhere. He's not even a marathoner. That's how he likes to do. So he'll walk like one side of LA to the other. He's walked like all of New York one day. Like that's just his thing. So I think he just was trying to go out for like a casual walk. So he says it got frostbite. He said, I ran back to my room and took a hot shower for an hour and I still couldn't feel my ears. The next morning I decided I had enough of St. Louis and I decided to take the cheapest flight to anywhere. And I took a $45 flight to Nashville and that left in 2 hours. So you got to get going. So sold. I threw my things into a suitcase and called a car to the airport. The flight was in a small airline I've never heard before. And I had to check in with the front desk to pick up my ticket. I gave the man behind the counter my flight number and he says, cheers, let's get you checked in, Mr. Dobbs. By the way, that's not his name. And he says, put your bag on the scale. I wasn't planning on checking my bag, but the flight was leaving in an hour and I had no time to argue. And your backpack, Mr. Dobbs, my backpack. What is this Mr. Dobbs stuff? A charming regional dialect, maybe? And so I weigh my backpack. Now step on the scale for me, Mr. Dobbs. Is this guy's first day? I weigh I weigh myself and get off. Then he asked for my ID. He was like, wait, you're not Mr. Dobbs. Like at this point, I'd be like, yeah, no shit. Like, like you see me like not answering. And so I eventually get to my terminal and this clerk calls my name over the loudspeaker. And I guess she calls me Mr. Dobbs. Like, I'm not really sure who she's calling over the speaker, but asked me to come to the desk. He directs me to the elevator and I'm super confused. Did I do something wrong? I go down and I see a Cessna 402 9-seater, but it's a plane smaller than some cars I've been in. And turns out this is my plane and I'm the only one who bought a ticket. So he's about to just get this like first class flight to fucking like Nashville. So see, at this point, what would you be thinking? You have the wrong name. You're about to go on this personal flight.
Yeah.
Like, you're the only one on it. And it's like the size of like a car. Like
it's sketchy. Yeah. It sounds like someone's like trying to be like MI5 or CIA.
Yeah.
And they're just like ushering this guy into this little airplane.
I know. And it's just,
I would be like, what the fuck is going on here? Where am I going? I wouldn't even trust that at all.
$45.
Yeah, $45. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
On a private plane, pretty much. Like,
yeah.
Even like I was looking at flights to Seattle and it was like a couple hundred. So like it's already weird. 45 is kind of too cheap. I don't know.
Too cheap. Yeah. But just go with it and see what happens.
Yeah. So I just like, well, fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he said the flight had a layover in Owensboro. Ever heard of it? Me either. Turns out it's a fourth most populous city in Kentucky. The layover is just long enough for the pilot to use the restroom. And while in the waiting room, I noticed there's no one working at security. I asked someone on the ground why ground crew why that is. They told me they weren't called in today because the only flight out of the airport was this flight.
Mr.
Dobbs. I know, Mr. Dobbs. The amount of money this airline poured into the flight to get me $45 to Nashville. Oh yeah, and I regained my feeling in my ears 4 months later. That part's dramatic, but I mean, like,
wow.
I'm like, this guy lives in Canada, okay? Like, that's why I wanted to tell you this story. I was like, this guy knows what frostbite is, but I mean, the fact that they opened the airport.
Yeah.
Who is Mr. Dobbs?
That's like flying. That's like the dream. What he's doing there. Like, you dream of like, you own a little plane or you charter a little plane and it's like no one else is about and no security. And
all those people had to get up, put on their shoes, go to work.
Yeah.
For him.
Just for you.
This Mr. Dobbs guy, like, actually got like a 5-star. Yeah. Like what a celebrity would probably feel.
Yes. Like, that's the one time he's going to really feel that. And that's it. He's not getting that again.
Now he has expectation.
Imagine next time they go, Mr. Dobbs. He's like, fuck's happening again. Yeah, I'm Mr. Dobbs. I'm Mr. Dobbs.
Mr. Dobbs, you're like, liar.
Yeah.
Dude, that's hilarious. Yeah, I feel like I would be down for it, but then I would see that plane and like I've been on a little plane like that. We didn't fly. I just like went and sat on it and it was tiny. It was like 4 seats and I was so uncomfortable. I was like, my knees are touching the pilot's chair. Like, and I'm like smaller person, like 5'3". It shouldn't be like that claustrophobic.
I love little planes.
Do you?
I love them. Yeah, I used to fly in the 2-seaters when I was in cadets and was younger.
That's insane.
I loved it. Yeah.
Okay, why do you like it more than like normal planes?
It just feels a bit more authentic.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if people realise this who listen, but if you're in a 2-seater plane, the pilot's next to you. And it's like going in a car about 80 miles an hour and you think, oh shit, yeah, we just took off.
Holy shit.
Like, it's just the same and speed as a car. I was like, wow. And anyway, when you go up, in cadets in England anyway, you can fly planes in cadets. So the pilot will take you up. And as soon as he's at a certain level, he's like, oh, do you want to take over? It's like, yeah. And you just like follow the horizon and you sort of take over the plane a little bit.
What? Holy crap.
Cadets can do that in England. If you're from England, UK, join, and you've got kids, get them to join the cadets, air cadets, because you can do that sort of shit.
I've never heard of that. That is so cool.
Same in Canada as well, actually. Yeah.
Wait, that is so awesome.
Do you not have it in US, like cadets?
I don't know. I didn't like grow up around like plane stuff. Like,
okay.
I grew up moving on boats.
I'm more of a plane person, I think. Yeah. I can jump in a little plane like that. And a glider. We used to gliding as well. So gliding's got no engines, right?
Whoa. So
you're in a glider with the pilot's in front of you this time, not beside you. And the winch just like releases you into the air and you sort of just glide up and there's like the silence is crazy. You in middle of the air, silence, but you're kind of flying. It's a weird, awesome experience.
That's probably the closest you could ever feel to like being probably
like a bird, right?
Yeah, like a bird.
Close to a bird. Yeah.
How they would feel. Like, have you ever done skydiving or something?
Yep, done it twice. Skydiving.
You done it twice? Oh
yeah, I'm looking to do a third and fourth when I go away.
Damn.
It's got to pick where.
Yeah, I'm like, that's my license in traveling is I should be more adventurous. You know, like I feel like
we talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm more adventurous when it comes to like food or talking to anyone or just going to a random country. I like
same.
I like the thrill of like figuring out situations, but like I am such a freaking wuss about putting my body in situations. You know?
I think for me it's water. That's my biggest weakness. I can't do diving or deep water. I'm just scared of. I don't swim very well. I can't go in water. But I can do like skydiving or bungee jump or
heights are fine.
Flying. Heights is fine. Absolutely fine.
That is so interesting. Yeah. And I'm definitely claustrophobic. So I feel like that flight, the tiny plane, I'd be like, Frook. Like,
if you're claustrophobic, that's going to be an interesting experience.
So maybe this story wasn't like as crazy to you, but I can't, the idea of seeing that tiny plane and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, it's just gonna be me. like I guess it'd be okay if it was like just me and I wasn't packed in with like 6 other people.
Imagine him seeing Mr. Dobbs on the side of the plane. Written on the side. He's like, Mr. Dobbs has gone wrrong. Mr. Dobbs is stuck in the other airport getting a basic flight.
He's like, he comes, he's like, I'm here for my flight. They're like, oh wait, what?
You've already gone? Well, I haven't. I'm here.
It's like, oh shit, it was that. Yeah. Again, I just love situations like that where things just kind of get out of hand.
Yeah.
I love chaos. Like, I'm all about chaotic situations. I feel like the situation's very chaotic.
You learn most in chaos situations, I think. You learn about how you can deal with it.
But so like those are our stories for today. I wanted to, before we wrap up, I wanted to, talk more about your podcast and stuff. Can you give us a deeper dive to what Winging It brings to the listeners? What makes it unique than other travel podcasts?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't actually know other travel podcasts here about if they're even popular, if they're even a lot about, or what their premise is. But my own premise of my podcast is a bit of a longer format. So
yeah,
I would probably average around, for a guest, 1.5 to 2 hours.
Yeah, they're like deep dive conversations.
Deep dive conversations, and we have a rough guide of some countries and whoever the guest is. For example, could be different types of guests, but a bit about them, whether they're journalists or another travel podcaster or stuff like that, or even another podcast about something else.
Yeah.
So we kind of take a deep dive into the personal travel, some favorite spots, some stories.
Yeah.
And kind of riff off like what I basically hear. I'm quite casual, so if you said something, I think you probably say quite a few things of mine. I would probably just go off on that for a bit, and then try and keep it to like 2 hours roughly.
Yeah.
And then a bit of a longer format.
Yeah, I had to say, like, as a listener, like, obviously mine is about countries and then like fun travel stories, but I think yours is really good for, let's say you're going somewhere and you want to learn, like, okay, you want to learn exactly what you should do and how someone's experiences is, and you're very good at interviewing, like collecting a different variety of guests.
Yes, you're right.
You're talking about like different travel experiences. So I think I recommend my listeners checking out your podcast for like if you're taking a trip and you just really want to deep dive personal experiences on what you should do and like where you should go. And like, honestly, if you like the travel stories, you'll like your podcast because it's a very like laid back, And
if you're listening now and you're thinking about doing a trip, so I will cover like my last episode I just released in terms of recording now was a couple who in Australia were in the late 30s and they just want to do something deep with travel in their life. And one had sabbatical, one quit their job. He was like self-employed and they went biking, cycling around Southeast Asia and Europe for a year.
Wow.
So they got that sort of trip.
Incredible.
If you love your job and you just want to take your vacation time but not sure where to go, I've got a couple of episodes Adam and Stephanie come on and they do a blog. It's called Road Unraveled, and they are specifically trying to get Americans to take vacation time per year and actually go somewhere that's not US.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like in that sphere of people who love their job or don't want to leave their job, but can maybe sort of use their vacation time to the max, really.
Yeah, exactly.
And then backpackers, got to cover that. And I've got tomorrow's new guest is a travel journalist. So if you want to think about doing travel journalism and want to know what that lifestyle is like, I would recommend that.
I was a journalism major, so I'll probably be listening to that one for sure.
Very interesting. I do go heavy on that sort of lifestyle.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Definitely good for deep diving and stuff into travel. And what's your favorite episode? What's a good entry episode? If someone's to like go onto your platform right now and pick one.
God, that's a bloody good question.
It's a hard question.
It's a hard question.
Okay, I'll tell you with my listeners, I'll tell you what kind of people like fun.
Yeah.
And they to learn a lot, but I've noticed they like chaotic stories.
Okay, if you want chaos, I would listen to two. It's basically, I went South East Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji with my friend from uni.
Okay.
And we got some funny stories with that.
Yeah.
We do half of that. He's actually come back on to finish the rest of it, but we've done Southeast Asia portion. So Mike Butlin, I can't remember what episode number that is. Let me get that quickly.
Yeah.
So Mike Butlin is my mate from uni. We got some cool stuff, some cool stories. Some stories didn't make it to the final cut because I thought that was too risky. But yeah, so if you want stuff like that, Michael Butlin came on really early last year, and he is episode 10, 11.
So early on.
Yeah, really early doors. And then 2 episodes after that, episode 13, my mate Lewis Huxtable, we went to South America together. And he's really funny with the way he tells stories. So we had some funny chats about some stuff we got to in South America.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, they're the two. If you want like friendly type, funny, bantery type stuff. Yeah.
Okay, and what about for maybe deeper episodes for like about maybe a culture or something? Which episode would you kind of recommend?
I would actually check out my new episode in terms of recording today, which is tomorrow. Okay. So Monday, the 14th of March, episode 56.
Okay, 56.
Emma Thompson. She's a travel journalist. She's been to 100 countries roughly.
Wow.
And she's been travel journalist for 12 years or something.
I'm listening to that one 100%.
It's like almost intimidating to really pick a few countries, but we cover Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Iran, Zimbabwe, and Bhutan. And I talked about her travel journalist lifestyle, like history.
Yeah.
To give you a quote of what she does, she's like, up to COVID, I was the travel journalist for like 11 years. And I've been on the road every year for 11 years. And each of those years, probably at home 2 to 3 months. And then COVID hit. She goes, that was a good time to reflect about where I am as a career. So she's at home for the first time.
Wow.
Pretty much for a long period of time when COVID hit, because she's been on the road for 10, 11 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Dream.
I definitely really excited about the episode.
Yeah.
So it's 11 and 13 for like fun travel stories that we do on this podcast. And then the Emma Thompson one, 56.
Yeah.
Or maybe like to get in someone's head who's like a real traveler, a travel journalist, you know?
Yeah. And to understand how you could potentially make a living in that industry. And if you like writing and stuff like that, she's a great person.
I'm going to be adding a writing and blog as an addition to the podcast because I was a journalism major. So I'm going to be checking out that to see what her recommendations and stuff. But my next question is, how has the podcast changed you since you've done it? And then, or has someone told you how it's changed them in a way?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's reaffirmed my original thought that I need to be in this space of travel, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that's my full-time job or even just like earn enough to make a living and kind of progress in that industry. So going forward, I want to be either a bit of travel, but also podcasting, release a book, Patreon.
Book would be awesome.
I've already written one. I just need to get it sorted. Yeah. So all this stuff, I just want to be having enough income to be based in the travel industry.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, I don't know yet, but I'm kind of putting stuff in place. So that's what I've learned from this. And I've learned that my jobs I've been doing for the last 10 years are just so boring and do not interest me.
That's what the lesson I'm learning right now in my life is listening to yourself, listening to what you need. You know, maybe for someone else, their job works for them and that's fine. But listening to yourself and so many people can relate to that. And it doesn't have to be as dramatic of like, even if travel is not even your number one passion, like just paying attention to what does make you feel alive in life. You know, and if you can adapt your life to doing that. For us, it's starting this podcast. That's how it keeps us feeling alive. For someone else, maybe it's doing a show for the first time in comedy or whatever it is. Just taking that as a lesson of like paying attention to what makes you feel alive and maybe letting go of things that maybe they're comfortable, but it's not, it's just not what you want when you look back in your life,
Yeah. And I've done a fair bit of travel already, so I've got some in the bank, don't get me wrong. But I think what's different this time is before I've always been quick job, travel, get another office job, save, quick job. I've had this like routine, but
me.
Yeah. So we're the same here, right? But something switched this time where I'm like, no, I don't want to be doing the same type of job again because it kind of makes me a bit unhappy. So I need to figure out what I can do.
Yeah, it's like this constant wave of highs and lows. Those highs are when you travel. The lows are like when you're saving, you're scrunching. Well, for me, it's like saving, scrunging, trying to figure out the next way I can go. So it's like, how do we make this a sustainable lifestyle? Which is going to take, it is taking a lot of hard work between me and you of just putting in the grind to be able to do that. But I rather invest in myself. I rather invest in myself than invest in a company that doesn't even get close to my goals that I want, like, so
very, very PC there. Very political. I totally agree.
And it's not even like any personal with any company. It's just like invest in yourself. I'll say invest in yourself and what makes you feel alive. And back to your podcast real quick. Any announcements you want to give?
No real announcements, but I would say just to watch out that I'm going to introduce a Patreon coming up maybe next 6 months. So I'm going to start releasing snippets about that. Yeah. I'm still working out the logistics and what that's going to offer, but I plan to do more content. Yeah. To maybe my trip. So that's on the horizon coming up. And I've got a merch store. If you like merch, got wearing a t-shirt really today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to buy a Winging It Travel podcast logo on the t-shirt or hoodie or a mug,
the mug,
you can check out my affiliate. Yeah. You can check out my affiliate link. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of links, where do we find your podcast on social media and where's the best way to listen to it?
Social media wise, you can search Winging It Travel podcasts at, if you like, Winging It Travel podcast. And that's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and TikTok, but I predominantly use Instagram and probably Twitter mostly.
Okay.
That's that. And then all the platforms that you like, Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, Podchaser, Podcast Addict, all Google Podcasts, Amazon, the whole lot. I'm on there. So I ask for reviews and ratings probably on Spotify and Podchaser. That's my go-to.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
But other than that, you can do what you want with ratings. You can go on Apple Podcasts and leave it. That's fine.
Okay, perfect. And then just wrapping up, what are your travel plans this year and goals this year for your pod? What's your plans? Yeah,
plans for travel. We're going to quit our jobs in September and we're going to go off on a year to 15-month trip. So that's October 1st. And amazing. This year it's going to be like Asia. So it's going to be Bhutan, Singapore, a bit of Hawaii, but also the Middle East before we go home for Christmas.
Wow. Oh my God, I would love to go to the Middle East.
Yeah. We're going to do like land borders over there. So we're going to jump into UAE and kind of get around to Jerusalem eventually and fly out to UK when
you can go to Iran. It's a huge one for me. It's kind of hard to get into, but it's freaking beautiful. And the food and the people. I used to work for an Iranian family and they were just like, I just loved working for them. And I loved hearing Farsi and just hearing about their country and the music. If you can go to Iran, I would be obsessed.
After hearing Emma Thompson's tomorrow's episode talk about Iran, she's been there twice. I was like, shit, I need to add that in. But then she was like, but I want to go to Saudi Arabia and understand what that's like. But I was like, but we plan to go to Saudi Arabia this year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, do that because I want to hear what it's like. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, there's too many countries. So we're going to have to figure out a route.
And to keep a loose plan is always good too.
Yes,
see where your heart goes. And so that's my 3-year goal is to do what you're doing, do a big ass trip. And then this year, I'm going to go to Mexico and then Hawaii, but mainly going to stay more local and stuff this year, I think. But yeah.
And I think for just to finish as well, just quickly for the podcast, the aim is just to get it on the road. So I will release every Monday. That's going to carry on with guests. And I'm going to have a Patreon, which is going to be even more content, but that's going to be more about on the road. So that's kind of the aims of the podcast, really.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yours comes out on Mondays and everything. And I'll make it easy for everyone where I'm going to have your link on the show notes of this episode. And I'm going to have, post it on Instagram and stuff. And I forgot to ask one more question before we go. So to any new listeners, I do go off and on between one episode being a travel story like this, fun, casual chit chat. And the other one is about a country that I landed on. And I talk about a story from that country or I feature a guest from that country. Is there certain countries that you're interested to learn about? I would find the story. So it doesn't have to be a country you know. Or if you've been there, we would talk about you've been there. But is there countries that just truly interest you?
Can I give you 3?
Go ahead. Yes. No, I have a guest list, so I'll just put you down for whatever countries you want.
Number 1. Well, no order. 1, Mongolia.
Okay.
2, Iran.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I think number 3 would probably be somewhere like probably Botswana.
Botswana. Okay. I have no guests on my list for any of those countries. That's perfect. So I do all the research. So it's really just come on, we drink a little, relax, and then
that's awesome.
Yeah. So those
I love your layout. It's great. Like story, learn. That's a brilliant way of doing it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of base it off. So my favorite podcast is called My Favorite Murder, and I'm not like into murder or anything. I just like, I want to preface that they're just they're really good storytellers, and that's what they do. They have murder stories, and then they have like more murder stories, but it's like but like I like the preface of like, you're getting to learn, but you're also getting to have some episodes that are more relaxed and for chit chat. So I grew up with a family full of scholars, a lot of family who are teachers and like professors, and so I was born with that urge to keep learning, and if I'm not traveling, my brain's gonna go dumb, so I got to keep learning. So that's why and so that's why some of the episodes are more about learning, and some of them more like just chit chat fun, where you learn about where to do cocaine in Bolivia. So
the real important subjects.
The real important stuff. So before we wrap up, I do have a business corner. So I just want to say to everyone, please keep writing in your favorite travel stories. You can DM the Instagram at culturecultshow or email culturecultshow@.com. We have so many episodes this season. I definitely need more travel stories. All the ones you've been writing in have been awesome. I also wanted to mention that I have a membership now. We're talking about like how he's going to start his membership. It's if you want to join the cult membership, you get episodes on Monday instead of Wednesday. You get secret episodes that are recorded just for you. All the episodes that are sent to you are extended, so they have more conversation and they have extra bits at the end. And then also you'll get merch sent to you for free, because I'm like, just want to support y'all for supporting me. And then, all the money goes towards just right back into the podcast, and it's helping support the podcast, which in turn will give you a better show. So it works out. But I just want to have some business corner real quick and to thank you for coming on, James. I hope you had so much fun.
It's been great fun. It's been awesome. It's always a good laugh.
You're a really great host, really good guest. So I would definitely want you on and if you have more countries you're interested in, like it doesn't just have to be those three, I'll put you on. I have 197 countries.
Yeah, you got a lot to do. Yeah.
I actually was like, oh my God, wait. I'm going to be doing this when I'm 90. I'm like, okay, guys. We're on country 85 and I'm 87. There's like so many countries.
There is,
So we got our work cut out for us. But I just wanted to say thank you for coming on. I'm so excited to hear about our episode. Do you think that one's going to come out for people to listen?
What we doing? March 13th. That's going to be a month.
A month? Okay, perfect. So please, guys, check out Winging It Travel Podcast. And don't forget to really rate him on Spotify and check it out on Apple and whatever you want to check it out on your phone, wherever. And he has so many cool countries and guests that's covered. Again, his link for his podcast will be in the show notes. And thanks again, James, for being on and being on a future episode.
Marie, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'd love to come on. Thanks for having me on. It's great.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers, y'all.